What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast. Today we have episode 98, and as always with me I have my boy Andrew. And today we got some more Browns news to discuss, a little bit of Guardians here at the end, mainly on the Browns train right now because a good bit happened last week, a good bit happened this week, and even today a little bit of things have gone on. So without further ado, Andrew, how are we doing today? How are we doing this week after this, the first preseason game? Got a chance to see SHEDEUR play for the first time as a Brown. And I'm not going to lie, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't get to actually watch the full game because I had stuff going on, but I did catch the highlights on YouTube. And at least from the highlights, I thought he looked confident, cool in the pocket, didn't force things that didn't need to be forced. Yeah. Ran out of the pocket when he had to, put the ball out of bounds when he had to. He did all the things you needed him to do right. And now, don't get me wrong, there's a couple miscues, like missing an open field by overthrowing him a little bit while on the run. Those, and you can fix those. So I thought SHEDEUR looked really good. I thought just the team itself, even if it was the second, third team, whatever, I thought they just looked. The defense, I mean, the big Carson Schlesinger kid, man, he really he balled out, man. He had something, I think it was like 6 tackles in like 7 plays or something.
Yeah,
it was something ridiculous. Like, that dude's just, he knows where that ball is and he knows how to attack it and get there. And I mean, this kid, I can tell you, is going to be something special. But yeah, for the main focus for SHEDEUR, though, I thought he looked good. He looked confident, and he looked like an NFL quarterback in that game. That's the biggest thing that we wanted to see from him, was that he looked, he just looked good. That's all you wanted to see from him.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact is there wasn't really too much to expect from him in this game. I mean, it's first preseason game. A lot of it's basic stuff. There's not a whole lot of the offense that's going to be played, or there's not a whole lot of the defense that's going to be played. I mean, when you talk about preseason games, a lot of the times it's base stuff. Like you're going to get the more complex stuff in the practices, but in the the preseason games and stuff, they really don't throw a lot at you. So the main thing that I was trying to look for, which I saw a pretty good bit, was his composure in the pocket. He was willing to scramble, but wasn't willing to just scramble out as soon as he didn't see people getting open. And unfortunately, with these 2s and 3s, there's not a whole lot of separation being had with the receiving core. So he's kind of having to move around a little bit to sort of create more time for the play to even develop for them. But he found guys pretty often. And it was just nice to see. Everything looked pretty crisp. He had a few missed throws. In his few attempts that he had at sort of the Madden scramble back, he's going to learn that's not always going to work out. It's not the Johnny Manziel play. Like, you're not really going to be able to do that in the NFL. You're going to get lucky here and there, but it's not going to happen very often. So you got to be able to make the read, make the adjustment, and get the ball out quickly as soon as you're seeing pressure, or at least get it out of your hands and fight for another down. And unfortunately, that particular play happened on 4th down, I do believe, which is a gamble, and it is what it is. It's preseason. You got to see what he's got, but when it came down to his red zone targets, my man, he was perfect. He was perfect in the red zone. Like, he executed everything perfectly. His first touchdown throw he had was a beauty. Like, it was in the window, perfectly placed. Like, you couldn't have thrown the ball any better. And that was about the only good target to throw to it, at that time. And then his second one was not quite as impressive, but it was good in a sense of he saw the blitz, moved. Jalen Marshall was able to block that guy out, the blitzer, and he compose himself and then threw a dart. And it's just when you see stuff like that, you're like, okay, that's there. He's
Yeah.
always going to look downfield. He's always going to look for the better throw. He's not going to be a scrambler. He will when he needs to, but he's smart. He does have awareness, and I think if you just give him the time, which I think is actually why the Browns, I think they're doing right by him by not throwing him out to the Wolves, because I think they actually believe that it's just given a little bit of time, given a little more time with the playbook, he's going to really be able to show you something. And I know guys like Gabriel are, although they're picking up the playbook better, his athleticism and his build in general is going to get him in some really bad spots. And I'm hoping that I'm wrong. Like, I hope that we get to see Gabriel in this next game. Since SHEDEUR now today just came out, there's a slight oblique thing going on right now. It doesn't sound serious, just more precautionary. But he probably will not play. So now that leads, Gabriel should be able to get the start, especially because we're also probably not going to see Pickett. To be honest, it sounds like he's not going to be a thing in the last preseason game as well. So that's going to be another interesting topic that we'll get into later. But overall, I thought SHEDEUR did what he needed to do, considering the circumstances and considering everything that happened prior with him not getting a bunch of reps. He still made the most of it. And although he didn't play outstanding, he played well. And he was very humble. He was honest. And again, that stuff there too is I think what really goes a long way, is you're seeing the kid being like, okay, like, he's sure he does have an ego, but he is very humble and very human in his approach to the game, and you know that he cares about the game and the way that he plays the game. And I think that is still just as important as anything else. So it was good to see, but I gotta tell you again, I'm hoping we get to see Dillon Gabriel, because a lot of the rumors are not really positive around him. Like, he makes a play here and there, but as Daryl Ryder says, every time he comes in, the offense just comes to a screeching halt. And again, this is Daryl Ryder saying this. Daryl Ryder has always been a very pessimistic Browns beat reporter, but sometimes he just say the truth, and sometimes he sort of speaks out of his hind end. But it's not just him saying stuff like that. There's a lot of people saying some bad things about the way that he just plays. Like, he just doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. So what are you looking for him to do in this game to make you feel better about potentially seeing him before you see SHEDEUR in a real NFL game?
I mean, I'm just looking for him just to be a competent quarterback. Just make the good throws, make the easy throws that you need to make. Again, like we saw with SHEDEUR, don't force anything that doesn't need to be forced. If you have to, get out of the pocket, get back to the line of scrimmage, or get as many yards as you can, and just look like you belong.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Like, again, this is preseason. I don't mind you taking chances. Like, obviously, if you see a deep ball, take a chance on it. Why not?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what preseason's for, is to learn. So take chances, man. Don't be afraid to take gambles, because SHEDEUR did a couple of those. He took a couple of gambles deep, and
They didn't really give him a lot too. Like,
yeah,
it was a lot of shorter passes for sure.
yeah. And that's the thing too. I think Stefanski just wants to make sure that the rookies can make the easy throws, the short passes. They can make those quick decisions. And he's probably going to put Gabriel in that same boat, give him the kind of the same play sheet, be like, listen, we're going to call simple screens, bubbles, whatever. We just want to make sure you can throw the ball, be accurate, and get it to the guy.
Yeah.
Like, we'll give you maybe a couple deep balls here and there just to see what you can do with a deep ball. But other than that, we just want you to go out there and just be a competent quarterback. Make your throws, and don't over exaggerate anything. Don't overthink anything. Just go out there and just play football. And that's all we're at. And again, that's all the fans are asking to just go out there and play football. And the thing is, if he plays just as well as SHEDEUR, then we got a real QB
Yeah.
competition for the rookies. And, who's going to take over this franchise? Because now you're looking like, okay, man, yeah, we gave Gabriel a hard time, but I'll tell you what, this kid looks kind of nice. Like he did look so that's the hope I'm hoping that we get to say
Yes.
that next week is like, you know what? He looked like a good NFL QB. He looked competent. He looked like he belongs in the NFL. This is what we wanted was just two rookies who can go head to head and fight for that spot and be like, listen, it's good for both of them too, because
Yes.
it forces them to play better and compete against each other and be like, listen, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be so much better. Than they're like, no, I'm gonna be, and it makes them work harder and harder and harder during practices. So this is what we've been wanting for a long time, was just two guys who could duke it out. Now, if Gabriel shows and he's really bad, then that's telling that, hey, maybe SHEDEUR should be the guy that takes over, and Gabriel should be going down that pecking order and being the guy who belongs on the practice squad or somewhere, or maybe goes somewhere else. And did you waste a third round pick? Sure. Yeah, you did. You wasted that third round. In fact, you probably should just took a SHEDEUR with that third round pick if you're just going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, if you wanted Gabriel, I'm sure he probably fell to the fifth, or, I guess they said there's a couple teams that wanted Gabriel, and maybe if they still want him, give it to him.
Which is, that's an interesting rumor, because I don't know
That
how
is.
much belief is there, because a lot of teams
I don't believe it much.
A lot of teams had him at more of like the 4th or 5th round.
Exactly.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how much value there would have been, which is probably why, even if the Browns did get calls, they were probably just like, nah, like I think we're going to see what we got. We obviously need to get some sort of young guys in here to really help sort of round out the roster. But listen, it's no secret, man. Joe Flacco's going to start week 1. Like,
yeah, it's not a secret.
You're not going to see SHEDEUR, and you're not going to see Dylan Gabriel. But my thing is that for me, I'm dead set in saying that I don't think Gabriel is going to be it. And I'm hoping that I'm wrong. Like, I'm genuinely hoping that I will be wrong on that. But in my gut, I'm just not feeling it. I think his size is going to be a very hard thing to overcome in this league, especially with these guys getting bigger and faster. And I know guys like, Kyler and Tua have been able to make their rounds and be able to still be somewhat successful quarterbacks and talented guys. But you see what they deal with every year. They both have average O-lines. And in fact, I would even say now Arizona has a better O-line because they've been able to draft and sort of develop one now. But Kyler has had to fend for his life for the last 6 or 7 years because he's 5'9", and although has an amazing arm talent, can't stay healthy because he's got to be scrambling around the field like an ant, just hoping that he doesn't get murked by a 6'9" DN or a 6'5" D tackle, or even a 6'2" linebacker that's 230 pounds. This is a real thing that these quarterbacks have to deal with. The NFL is getting bigger and faster every single year. These players, these athletes are insane compared to even when we were in high school. We've only been out of high school for 11 years, 10 years. So it's not like it's been that long, but the drastic difference in the athletes, it's incredible. It really is. And these guys are, you see Jeremiah Smith. He's an example. Chris Henry is going to be a 6'5" freshman as a receiver next year. Not even this year. Next year for Ohio State.
Yeah.
That's like, when you see that, you're like, and there's a lot of those guys out there. There's a lot of linemen that are no smaller than 6'6" now. Like the average O-line you see now is around 6'5", 6'6", up to 6'9". So you're seeing more and more of that. And so for me, again, it's a hard sell for me with Gabriel, especially with what I've been able to kind of see just through the lens of everybody sharing things on X and just what we're hearing. Like, if Gabriel comes out and he looks frantic and he doesn't look composed in the pocket and makes his reads and sort of double and triple guesses himself, it's gonna be a hard sell because you're gonna see that and go, okay, well, SHEDEUR didn't have that. Like SHEDEUR made his reads, sometimes his second, third, fourth read, and made the play. So although again he wasn't perfect, that's going to be the difference. And then that's what the Browns need to look at. It's not just about the fact that Dillon can get the playbook down in 20 days and SHEDEUR takes 45. Okay. So you bring him on a little bit slower, but you see the talent and you see the potential. That's what you have to focus on, not just the fact that you can dive into a playbook and get it. Because Dillon Gabriel's been in how many offenses throughout college? He was on what, 4 or 5 different programs?
Yeah.
So he has that experience. That's what is going to help him. Bo Nix was the same way. Herbert, I think, was the same way as well. Like, there's just guys that have been through. Hurts was on what, 2 or 3 different teams. It does help you when you're in, the college ball for that long. So we'll see. Again, I'm hoping that I'm wrong, guys, and I'm hoping that Dillon Gabriel comes out and he plays well. He plays efficiently, doesn't turn the ball over, and doesn't really make mistakes. Because I'll tell you what, around him, there's some other fun guys that we are seeing, which is kind of the next point that I want to get into. There were several guys that sort of popped out to me that really, really played well, and you named one of them was Carson Schlesinger. He was only in the game for a handful of plays, but he made a tackle on almost every play he was in the game. Like, to me, that's insanity. And It just proves why he's getting first team reps. It's because his ability to actually make the play every single time. But the other guy, you didn't really get to see him a whole lot in the preseason game. But I even heard today, Mason Graham was on a tear, and he is playing very, very well. He's down even some weight. I think they said he's lost like 10 pounds. Now he's down to like 290. I'll tell you what, man, if he could stay around that weight, he's going to be a 3-down D lineman for this team for a long time. And it's going to be so much fun against the run and the pass. Because he is something, man. He really, really is.
Yeah, he's on a run, man. And like you said, there's positive news about Mason Graham. Obviously, like you said, just dropping weight, and that's what you want to see because now that kid will be able to move a little bit faster and be a little bit more swift with his feet. So that helps a ton. And like you said, he's been killing it in practice against the Eagles during the practices at the shared practice.
Yeah.
So that's great news to hear. Obviously, dude, Carson Schlesinger led the team in tackles in the preseason game, and he had, I think it was 6 total and 3 solo tackles. Another guy, Aiden Huntington, I know he's just a random name out there, but he had 6 tackles, 5 solo, 1 sack, and a tackle for loss, and 2 QB hits.
All right.
And that kid looked really good too. So there's a couple names out there that have just looked really, really solid. And, I'm happy with how that first preseason game turned out. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Schlesinger and just seeing how much more he can just do, what damages he can cause, because this kid's unreal, dude. Like, just watching him fly around the field is so much fun to watch. And when JOK gets back next year or something, like those two together, just flying together, is going to be an insane thing to see.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm so stoked to see that. And I'm stoked to see what Mason Graham can do. Because like you said, he only played maybe like 1 or 2 snaps and he got a tackle or a shared tackle. Mm-hmm. But he should be playing a lot more this weekend and getting a lot more reps. And I hope so, because I want to see what this kid can do, man. I want to see him be able to get to the quarterback, disrupt plays, make an impact. Because if Garrett's on the sidelines and he's looking at Graham doing all those things, he's going to be like, oh, this is going to be so much fun this
Yes.
year. This is
Yes,
going to be
licking his chops.
yeah, he's gonna be God. This is gonna be a great year because he's like, this is gonna be sacks galore for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he's definitely watching and making sure that Mason Graham gets his and sees what this kid can do. And if it's a positive, man, this defense is gonna look insanely scary in the
Yes.
NFL. And it might be back to the number one defense like it was the 2 years ago.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I wrote my first piece about that because I really do believe that the Browns have just the overall talent to be able to get this, the defense back to normal. It's sort of back to where it was. And part of that is going to come down to, can the offense keep the defense off the field for longer periods of time than going 3 and out or getting 6 plays in and then out. That doesn't help your guys on defense be able to really recover. But I definitely can see this defense getting back to that sort of top 10, top 5 mantra. And that could really help them win some games this year because, listen, man, the first part of this season, it's going to be rough. Like there's a potential that they could come out with like 2 wins. If they get any more than that, it'll be a miracle because of just how brutal the start of the season is for them. But a couple more guys that I wanted to note that I really liked what I saw from them last week, and I want to see more of them. And part of this goes into the running back room. We didn't get to see a lot of Dylan Sampson because he was sort of, not really involved too much. That there was a lot of guys that played. This Amani Marshall kid, that 39, he's a rookie out of App State. 6'1", 225, played really good in the pass game. Made some really, really good runs, and overall just looked like a solid little running back for us. He's a rookie. I think he has the potential to beat out Pierre Strong for that sort of RB3, RB4 role, especially if you're going to be going, without Judkins, who is still unsigned. His stuff has not been handled yet. So as of now, he is not on this team. That's not good. So I liked what I saw from him. I even liked what I saw from Toa Tua. And I know Travion Williams, he also played a little bit as well. Didn't really get to see a whole lot of him. It was more special teams, receiver wise. It wasn't Cade McDonald. It was who was the other guy? Caden Davis was the one I think that caught both of those touchdowns.
He did,
from SHEDEUR. This Kission Johnson kid looks massive in practice. But by the way, I saw a video of him today, and I was like, "Who the heck is him?" Because he looks like a stud. But just continuing to see some of these guys fanning, like I want to see more of Fannin in this game, and I want him to be more involved in the pass game, not in the run game, as in run blocking. Like he's going to get plenty of that this year. I promise you. But please get him a chance to catch some passes. And then when it comes down to the defense as well, Isaiah McGuire, I definitely want to see a little more of. Alex Wright being back. Jawan Briggs is an interesting guy as well. He's only 6'1", but he's 313 pounds. He's really, really strong. He could be a guy that could sort of get that last tackle spot on the team if they feel the need. But overall, man, the team really didn't look that bad. They really outplayed Carolina pretty much the entire game. I mean, I think Carolina had one really good drive on offense, which is the one that they scored on. And other than that, it really didn't seem like there was a whole lot. Floria getting hurt was a big bummer. I was really upset with that because he had the only catch he had was an amazing one-handed catch. It was awesome. And I was like, yes. And then he got hurt on that play. So that wasn't fun. There are some very intriguing corners as well. I'm trying to remember I mean, I know Miles Harden has been a guy that guys have sort of gravitated to. This Keenan Isaac is 6'3". Interesting piece. That is a huge guy. I know Dom Jones played pretty well as well. So again, it's going to be interesting how this roster starts to really progress, because I think after this next preseason game, I think we're going to start getting to those first line of cuts to sort of get down the roster, because by the end of that third game, I think it's a week after that is when they got to have the final 53 man. So you're basically going from like 70 plus to 53. That's going to be a lot to ask for. So the Browns are going to have to start to make some really tough choices after this next game. So that's why you're probably going to see a lot more backups, because, again, they're fighting for spots and they're trying to really even out this roster. So, yeah, I know I just put out a lot of names there, but anybody else at all that you really enjoyed watching last week?
I mean, I think you named about almost the entire roster that played. So,
I mean, I look he did.
But no, there's a lot of those guys that you mentioned that are they're all going to be interesting, because again, like you said, these guys are all fighting for roster spots, and they're all going to be working insanely hard to make it onto the team. Like you said, Luke Florio was a guy that I was very interested in seeing do more of, but obviously it's unfortunate that he's got the injury. Luckily, it's not a long-term or anything that's super serious, so he should be back relatively soon. Right. And I know he's on the Browns' radar anyways, because the Browns really like what he's been doing in camp, and they really like that one-handed grab that he had against the Panthers. So they're definitely going to keep a close eye on him, and he's probably going to be one of the guys who makes the roster. So I'm excited for that. But even some of the guys who are, or have been on the team, your Alex Wrights and your Isaiah McGuires, those guys are, coming back from injuries, or, just who haven't played that well, but it's mostly just injury that they were out injured all last year and whatnot. And, just them looking right again and making sure that they get healthy and looking good, which they both had pretty solid games as well. I think Alex Wright had a sack as well in that game. So a lot of this too, like you said, is just some of the young guys fighting for a spot. Obviously, some of the guys in the second line are guys who are maybe coming back from injury from last year, just trying to get the feel for football back again and get back into the mojo, because obviously we know they're going to make it, but it's just about getting healthy and making sure they're okay and playing football once again. So we're going to see a lot of those guys in there too. But I think the most I'm trying to see is the Dylan Sampson situation, because obviously I want to see how he does now that Judkins is not on the roster right now. I want to see how the receiver room comes to fruition, because obviously we already know who the starters are,
right,
and who the main three are going to be, but it's just the backups. Obviously, we discussed that Luke Florio might be involved in there, and probably will be involved in there, so he's definitely a fourth option. But it's those guys like, let me see who's on here, but it's guys like Jamari Thrash, who had a couple catches here. Toa Tua, Travion Williams, Brendan Bates, Al Canilla. I mean, I tell you what, Caden Davis looked really good too, especially those two touchdown catches. He looked really good route running, good hand, especially in the first touchdown where it was like damn near double coverage. Great ball by SHEDEUR, and just even better hands by Caden Davis just to bring that ball in and keep his feet in. So that he's definitely a guy that's on my radar to see if he can do more of that and see what more he can do. So there's definitely a few of those guys that I'm going to keep a good close eye on. And these are guys who are probably going to hopefully make the team, because again, I've just liked what they did during that Carolina game. And we're going to see what happens Saturday, especially too. The biggest thing is Dylan Gabriel and how he performs.
Right.
Him, guys like Mason Graham, who are probably going to get a lot more opportunities. So there's a lot to look forward to this weekend. And I kind of wish the game was in Cleveland just so I could kind of go up there and just kind of watch, because usually tickets are like $5 to these preseason games. So I kind of wish I could go in and kind of see for myself with my own eyes and enjoy it. But, you know, it'll be nice just to be able to actually watch the game and not highlights this time. So
Yes, absolutely.
I'm definitely excited to see what goes on and what these boys can do and who's going to fight for this roster spots.
And, I think the last thing that I'm really going to look out for, especially for these next two preseason games, is even, again, and I said this earlier about Pickett, is he even going to make this roster at this point? Because this hamstring injury, it sounds a little more serious than initially thought.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been able to do anything above 7-on-7s. Like he is able to throw, but he's not able to really move around that much. So he's dealing with a pretty significant, hamstring, injury right now. And if that does affect his ability to even play in a game, can the Browns trust him to be on the roster? And can you actually keep 4 QBs on this freaking roster? I mean, yeah, you can, but then you sacrifice another receiver, or you sacrifice another corner, or a safety, or whatever that you're going to make a choice on, and that could debilitate the roster just a little bit more than it needs to. And that is something that I don't necessarily love. So the Browns have a very unique situation on their hands, and honest to God, the only people that they can blame is themselves. They're the ones that traded for Kenny Pickett instead of just getting picks for DTR and just chalking it with that.
Yeah.
And it's their fault for taking Dylan Gabriel and SHEDEUR Sanders, not expecting that, hey, we're just going to keep this sort of open, but it's always been Flacco's job to lose. It's always been Flacco's job. And I don't care what Stefanski says. I don't care what anybody has said. It's always been Flacco's job. I guarantee when they signed him, they had a handshake agreement, said you will be the starter unless you either throw up on your shoes or you get hurt. That is the only way that you are not going to be able to start, because the vets in this locker room would prefer to have him. But then when it comes to the rookies, it sounds like the vets really like SHEDEUR. Njoku is all over SHEDEUR. Miles was all over SHEDEUR. These guys gravitate toward him. I'm not seeing a lot of that with Dylan Gabriel. I don't know if that's necessarily the case in the locker room, but on the outside looking in, whatever we've seen, that's reality. And let's not also forget this too, because we can't. 2 things. One, Deshaun Watson could very well get cleared by October.
Yeah.
That is now a reality that we could face. Does that mean he's going to be able to play football? I don't know. And once that happens, if the Browns really let him walk back to that locker room and try to play another game, I mean, I get they're going to want to try to get their money's worth out of him, but it's over, man. You got to put that to bed. So that's one thing. And then we also heard about the news a day or two ago about Myles Garrett deciding to go 100 in Strongsville after getting back home from the game. So this is his 7th speeding ticket, including the wreck that he almost pretty much died in when he was in Medina a few years ago as well. So now we have another speedster, and yet another just annoyance at this point in the locker room. And this is kind of my final point to this. Stefanski, this is the one big issue that I have with him, is that his lack of discipline in the locker room, where he's basically letting the players dictate the locker room and who holds each other accountable. It's so distasteful, and it's not the correct way of going about a team like this. It's not. We don't have the players and the leaders to be able to do that. When you had Landry and you had those guys in that room that were a lot more vocal, then it helps. But you don't have that anymore. You don't have Baker. You don't have Landry. You don't have the guys that either that were rah-rah, but also would hold everybody accountable. It's starting to get back to their old ways, and it's because Stefanski just kind of refuses to really show his muscles and say, hey, listen, I need you to not do this anymore. Like, I need you to stop screwing up, and I need you to be a leader on and off the field. You don't have to be Mr. Rah-Rah, but we paid you all of this money. You need to stay out of trouble. You need to be the leading example for everybody in this locker room, especially when you just had SHEDEUR do this in June. Like, we can't keep dealing with stuff like this. It's just, it's not a thing that I think any Browns fan necessarily truly cares about, but it's just, again, it's so much of an annoyance that I'm just kind of getting over it. Like, you know, I'm like, I mean, at least they're not hitting another woman or, you know, any sort of SA charge or anything like that, but it's still breaking the law and you're still being an idiot. So it's like, I'm literally making a case for somebody to say, well, at least they're not a horrible person. They just like to speed in a 70-mile-per-hour zone going 100. Like, that's where we're at.
Yeah, no, and the thing is like Kevin Stefanski's got to be on top of that. Even maybe the front office, like Andrew Berry or somebody, has to get on the players about that. Like, listen, how about this? Every time you guys get a speeding ticket or something, we're gonna hit you with like a fine, or we're gonna hit you with something. Because I get it, you're driving these flashy cars. You guys have these nice new Lamborghinis or Ferraris, or, you know, these nice SUVs that can go 130 or whatever. You guys don't need to drive that fast.
No.
Like, please, especially Miles. Like, if I'm Stefanski, I'm going to Miles, I'm like, dude, what the hell? Do you not remember what happened to you a couple of years ago when you almost died? Do you really want that to happen? Like, come on, man, let's be real. Like, do you really want that to happen? Because we don't, and we want you to be safe. So how about this? How about you be a law-abiding citizen and drive the speed limit, or at least like 10 over if you want to speed. And let's not go 110 and a 70. Or, you know, same with SHEDEUR. Let's not go over 100 miles an hour in a 7. Like, please, please, please. Let's be responsible. Let's drive normally like human beings. Let's drive like there's people's lives are at risk. So that way you don't cause an accident that causes a life or causes your own life. Like, what are we doing here? Like, and I'd always bring up Henry Ruggs and his situation, or Rashee Rice and his situation last season. Like, do you want to be like those guys? No, I wouldn't want to be. So how about this, Miles? Especially Miles, you're the team leader now. You need to set the example. And setting an example of this is my 7th speeding ticket is not a good example to have. So if I'm Stefanski or if I'm Barry or something, I'm putting down fines or something if these guys keep doing stuff like this.
Yeah, you have to do something.
Yeah, like, all right, you want to go 100 miles in a 70? You owe me $5,000. And if you don't want to pay that $5,000, then guess what? Don't be speeding, and you won't owe me money. And if I find out you're going well past or you're getting speeding tickets, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna make sure, and I'm gonna make sure your ass pays for it.
Yeah.
Not only the fine from the police, but you're gonna pay me too, and you're gonna owe this organization. And all the money you spent, the fines that you give to us, will go to charity. So if you want to keep speeding, hey, we're gonna make sure that there's certain levels of fines, like speeding 10K or something, doing this 5K, like being late to practice or something.
Yeah.
Like, we want to make sure you guys have a fun, relaxing time, but we also don't want you to be stupid. So if you guys can't enjoy the freedoms of being an NFL player, then we're gonna put heavy sanctions on you to make sure you guys don't do anything stupid. And if you guys don't like it, too bad. Then you guys shouldn't be doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like, you guys are making hundreds of millions of dollars to be idiots. It makes no sense.
It doesn't, and it doesn't make any sense because you have enough money to where you can literally just buy a Sprinter van and just have a dude drive you around 24/7.
Yeah.
Like truly, like do what LeBron did when he was here. Like LeBron never drove here.
Yeah.
Like especially in his second tenure here, he never drove. He was always in that Sprinter van, and he would be able to just worry about his game prep and everything else he had to do. Miles, you're about to make $40 million a year, bro. And that doesn't count sponsorships. It doesn't count all the other things that you probably have going for yourself. You're probably making way more than that a year. So there is no excuse for you to spend $120,000 on a van, soup it up the way you want it, so put another 10 or 12,000 in it, and then hire a driver full time at like a $50,000 a year salary or better. Like, that's not unreasonable when you have FU money. You really do. You have FU money.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be able to put yourself in this role. And if you have to drive, don't be a freaking idiot. And if you really feel like you have a speeding problem, go get a car that doesn't speed and deal with it. But this is the reality that we have to face in this league. And it's becoming, it's everywhere. And it's even in college. I mean, Georgia is a prime example of this. How many players from Georgia have gotten speeding tickets? It's astronomical.
The entire team.
Astronomical. And look, I'm going to say this with this too. I know Texas, when it comes to their laws with speeding and stuff, it's different than it is here. Their highways, I think, are like 80. Like they fly around.
Yeah.
Texas. But this is Ohio. You have to refocus and be like, oh crap, that's right. I can't be flying like I do in Houston or I do in Dallas or wherever I'm going to be coming out of. Get that out of your head and just be smart. Like you're an NFL player, man. You have so much responsibility on your hands that you get paid millions of dollars a year to play a freaking game, and you represent an organization the way that you do. I'm sorry, but you are just being stupid, and you need to be better. And I hope when he gets to talk to the press sometime this week, they're going to ask him about it, and I hope he actually answers it, which he probably won't. He'll probably just say some BS PR, sort of made up excuse and move on, which is fine too. But like, dude, it's ridiculous. And who knows what even Stefanski said to him, because he did say that, we have addressed it, and we have addressed it in the locker room as well amongst the other guys. So it's not just him, which is fine, but it's like, it's just wild. It's wild. It's wild. So we'll see what goes on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They play a pretty good team. We'll see who plays where. The Eagles just lost their Pro Bowl guard, which is bad. That's awful for them, because that was their strongest force. Was that O-line was a prime example of why that team was so successful last year.
Yeah.
So we'll see how our D-line can handle theirs and really see what goes on there. But I do want to talk very, very quickly a little bit of Guardians. They're getting ready to play tonight. And guys, the Guardians are still staying very, very hot. I know that we have talked a lot more Browns because they're starting up again. But make no mistake about it, the Guardians are very much in this race right now, and they have not let up. They have continued to play well. They're winning series after series after series. And guys just continue to play well. Manzardo is up there now in home runs. He is above 20. Ramirez had I think 2 home run game last night.
Yep.
Stephen Kwan made an amazing play in a left field last night as well to really help the game stay 3-3, to really help Jose get the go-ahead run in the 8th. So again, this team is starting to get back to the Guardians baseball that we saw around this time last year, and the team that we saw playing in the playoffs last year. And I got to tell you, the lineup that we had today is probably my favorite one of the year so far. I am excited to see that they are starting to involve Kefis a lot more, because I'll tell you what, anytime he's in the lineup, Kefis absolutely rakes the ball every
Yeah.
single time. He is getting a double. He is driving in runs. He is doing the things that you need to do, and he's even hit a home run. So he's doing it all. He's doing exactly what he did in AAA, and now he's doing it here. So if he can keep that up, he's going to be a big piece for this playoff run if the Guardians can actually get themselves in place for that playoff run.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think that the Guardians are in prime position right now to make a run. Like you said, we're a game back of New York for that wild card. If we win tonight, we'll be 5.5 back of Detroit for first place in the division. And Kafis, like you said, has been a big part of that in the last 2 weeks. Ever since he's been here, he's been hitting the ball well. He's been driving in runs. He's been batting like 300 with like an 850 OPS in the 2 weeks he's been here. He's been really helping this offense a lot. And this is what we've been begging for the last like month, was for Kafis to come up and play, because we knew that his offense would be able to help us out and help get us runs and, get himself aboard to score runs and whatnot. So we knew that we needed someone like him or Chase Allard to come up here. We've been begging for this for a month now.
Yeah.
And they finally listened, and here we are now. Dude, he's killing it. And just to see him at first base tonight with Manzardo at DH makes me so happy to see that there's no Nolan Jones in the lineup, or to see that there's no Carlos Santana in the lineup.
Right.
And they need to keep the roster like this throughout the rest of the year, essentially, to have a chance. And shout out to Jose, dude, for last night for the 2 home run game, because he passed Albert Bell and Jim Thome for the most multi-home run games in Guardians history.
Yeah.
Which is insane. And this is his second one this year, because remember, like, I think it's like game 2 of the season against the Angels. Or no, it wasn't game 2. It was game 2 versus the Angels, but it was like game 5 of the actual season. He had a 3 home run game against the Angels. All 3 hits he had in that game were home runs.
Yeah.
So I think he's also on another watch too. I think he's tonight he's like 3 steals away from beating Omar Vizquel in steals. So there's another record-breaking watch tonight to see if he could break the steals record.
Yeah.
Because he's 3 away, and I'm sure if he gets on base every time he's up there, he's going to try and go for it. So keep that in mind too. But man, yeah, Manzardo has also been helping out a ton, and I think they finally realized that they need Manzardo's bat every single day in this lineup, because he's been raking. Like, he's been the reason why we've been winning a lot of these games. So I think they realize that we need his bat in a lineup at all times, instead of being like, well, we want to play Santana for the next 4 days and we'll just sit Manzardo. It's like, no, let's not do that. How about no? How about you keep him in the lineup, because this dude rakes when he's in the lineup. And guess what? He has been. And he's been the best hitter on this team so far ever since we came back from the break. So there was some changes made. I'm sure Vogt had his voice heard finally and said, dude, just let me do this. I know what I'm doing. And if this was him, he cooked up an insanely good lineup tonight. And this gives you a good chance of scoring runs and winning. And the last thing I have to say is the Guardians are 22-8 in the last 30 games. 22-8. This is what we were expecting at the beginning of the season from the team. And we got it here now late. And I think we have the most wins from All-Star break, just behind Milwaukee. Or not Milwaukee. Yeah, it was Milwaukee. Because Milwaukee's on some generational run right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think they've only lost like 3 or 4 games since the All-Star break. They're on some kind of generational run. But the Guardians are not that far behind them either. So it's one of those things where if we can continue to win and win every series, and as long as New York and Detroit keep slipping up, we'll be in the playoffs again. And I'll tell you what, this team, if this lineup cooks tonight, this is probably going to be your starting lineup for that postseason.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not wrong. That is a lineup that can do some damage in the playoffs.
Exactly.
For sure. So yeah, I mean, the Guardians are definitely knocking at the door. They're continuing to make the Tigers very nervous, and they're also starting to make the New York Yankees nervous, who holds that 1.5 game lead in the last wild card spot. And Sean was starting to break it down a little bit, but this could come down to like a crazy tiebreaker if things fall in a certain way. And it was really cool and unique to see that, because I think the series is split 3-3 between us and the Yankees. So it would come down to wins in the division, and the Guardians have a lot more wins in their division than the Yankees do. So therefore, if it would come down to a final thing like that, the Guardians would get in just because they had a better thing against their division. So that it's just interesting how that falls. And I don't even know if that's 100% correct or not. I don't think he confirmed that because he was still sort of trying to gather some more info on that. But again, the Guardians are in a prime position, and we still got the rest of August and September. So we still have a ton of games left to play. I mean, we're literally almost a month and a half, roughly, of games still to play. So the Guardians have a lot of room to still make up, and they still have games against Detroit. They have a bunch of games in the division. So there's still a lot more opportunity for this to go. And I'm telling you what, if they can beat out Detroit and the Twins and Kansas City and all of them, if they can do that and create more separation in the division, that's just only going to make things even better for them.
Absolutely.
So I'm rooting for them. I know I was checked out of it. I'm just so locked in on football right now that it's hard for me to really pay true attention to them, but I am, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. And I know we're playing again tonight, so hopefully Gavin Williams can have himself another fantastic game, and the Guardians can get another win tonight. So let's hope for that.
Let's hope so. And before we jet on out of here, guys, check out our sponsor, Effortless Wins, for sports betting advice and plays to boost your wins. Talk to Tony or Greg. The links will be in the description of Spotify and in the comment section on YouTube. So be sure you guys go and check them out for all of your sports betting advice. And they're gearing up for NFL season, so you definitely want to jump on the bandwagon now and get ready for the NFL season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, look, we've said it a bajillion times. These guys are awesome. They know what they are talking about. They are not doing this as a scheme. This isn't like just some random guys. Like, these guys have been doing this for a while, and they really know what they are talking about. So check them out. If you guys like the prices, if you guys like the bets that they are giving you, I'm telling you what, it's going to help you out, especially if you're really trying to improve your game in betting, especially with the NFL around the corner. Our butts are going to be back into the, weekly bets and fantasy lineups and all that stuff. It's grind time, baby. It is about that time of the year. So get ready because it's coming. So anyways, that's going to do it for us. We will see y'all next week with some more news on the Browns, the Guardians, and we may even get some Cavs stuff because the Cavs are just starting to meet up again. They're starting to practice by themselves as a group, having some fun. So yeah, we may hear some more things about the Cavs next week. We'll see. But until then, see y'all next time.